Hey everyone, it's Emily. Today's video is going to be all about fantasy, cozy fantasy book recommendations. I feel like it's the time of the year, plus one book is coming out, the prequel to a favorite is coming out the first week of November, so I thought it was the perfect timing to share these with you. So I'm going to be reviewing my favorite ones that I've read in the last couple of years, and also just more recommendations, because just because I didn't give a book 5 stars doesn't mean you're going to feel the same, right? And then a couple that are on my current TBR, so I'm looking forward to reading them. That way we can just add a bunch more books to our own TBR. So if you have any recommendations, feel free to leave them in the comment section. So we're going to get to my top 5-ish. So let's start with the favorite ones, and the one that I was mentioning, the prequel coming out, and Legends Lattes. I feel like this is a classic. This is where I discovered my love for cozy fantasy, which is where I also want to mention, I'm not going to mention Becky Chambers because she's sci-fi. I don't know why I keep seeing her on the list of like cozy fantasy. It's sci-fi. So for me, this is where I really discovered that I do enjoy now those books where like nothing happens. Not really, but you know what I mean. And the cozy, often like found family vibes and just feeling just all the feels, which I used to be a very action-driven kind of book girly. And not with this, I've changed. This one you're following this orc. She has been a mercenary and she's over that life. She wants to find a little spot to relax a little bit. So she buys a shop and opens a coffee shop. Nobody has heard of coffee there. And it's happening in this little town. So you're just following her, building the shop, hiring people, trying to entice people into becoming customers. And there's a little bit of action, obviously. And there's a sapphic romance there too, and I just ended up really getting attached to characters, especially who was the cook, whatever their name was. It was just adorable. So of course I got the advanced reader copy of Bookshops and Bone Dust, and I also did enjoy that one. It's a prequel to it. In that case, she is 18 and she is very eager to prove herself, but unfortunately gets injured into the battle, and she's left behind in this small town close to the beach, or to the sea, I should say, and she has to relax there. Of course, she discovers the little town a little bit and finds this bookshops, kind of makes friends with people, and I liked it also. I do think that the first book is better, as is usually the case, but that one was also very adorable. There's a bit more action in it, and I feel like in cozy fantasy, I find myself not caring so much about the action, which you're going to see it's a recurring theme, but I would recommend this series in general. If you enjoyed book 1, book 2 is also great, but yes, book 1 is a must. It's definitely a must. So for sure, a personal favorite. I feel like everyone has heard of it at this point, but I like it too. The next book, I have been calling it Practical Magic 2.0, so this we're going to come back to it, but even better, in my opinion, is Garden Spells. I don't have my copy because I let someone borrow. I don't do that anymore because I feel like I never get them back, or they come back and they're in horrible shape, but I couldn't help it because it was so good. So Garden Spells, I do have the second book. I ordered it as soon as I finished the first book. This is First Frost, but Garden Spells, Practical Magic 2.0, very similar in a lot of things. You have sisters, they're witches, their whole family is from this small town, so obviously small town gossip. There's also some domestic violence in boat, actually, which is part of like the biggest part of the action. But to me, this felt cozy. And I feel like this is also where a lot of people will debate, what do we consider cozy? I feel like murder mysteries can be very cozy. So I think it's the small town vibes and the magic for me. You also get a little bit of like cooking and gardening. So I feel like if that's your thing, you're going to especially enjoy this. I was scared that it wouldn't have aged well. Like, we're going to, again, come back to Practical Magic, but every time I was like, ooh, are you going to go there? It wasn't. It didn't. So we're fine. But I had a few moments. So if you get into it, just be aware. But yeah, I was rooting for the romance, the cute vibes. I personally really, really enjoyed it. You get, again, kind of found family, even though they're technically family, but they weren't close growing up. And I don't know why I keep doing this. It's cute. It's cute. I liked it. Again, liked it so much that I ordered the second book. I will be reading this as soon as possible. I'm hoping it's going to be nearly as good as the first one. But yes, if you enjoyed the movie Practical Magic, you have to check out Garden Spells. Another one that I read recently, and I've been raving about it, but you know, if it's good, it's good. In the Company of Witches. This one I listened to the audiobook from the library, and I just requested that they get the second one because I enjoyed it. This one, if you want to compare it again to something else, I've been saying it's a tiny bit like Gilmore Girls / Sabrina the Teenage Witch, kinda, just because you're following character. She's an adult, but she works at this bed and breakfast with her 2 aunts. in a small town, and that's kind of where, once again, I get the vibes, the cozy vibes, the magic, the small town. It does handle more serious topics like grief. One morning, one of their clients, the only client that they have at their bed and breakfast at that time, is found dead, and unfortunately one of the aunts is a little bit grumpy, and she may have said that she wished her to be dead. So the town obviously wants to believe that it's her, obviously with the magic too, you know, the family, the gossip, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. So if that's your thing, I would definitely recommend checking it out. I've been looking for modern witches books for a while, and I feel like I kept reading them, not loving them, and I found like 2 back to back, so would recommend both of them for sure. And like I said, I will be reading the second book for both. I wasn't sure I was going to pick up the second one of this one because I was afraid it wasn't going to be as good, but a few of you told me that you actually enjoyed it too. So I know the cover is out there. Some people love it, but don't be fooled. It's good. Speaking of which, I do have to recommend something I never expected to recommend, and it is Beware of Chicken. Okay, I don't even know why I picked this up because, again, the cover did not seem like something I was going to be into, but I did like it. Again, cozy fantasy, that's the point of the video. But you're following this man who is probably from a version of a world, and he is sent back in a different version, magical version of like ancient China. And he wakes up in the body of a monk, and he kind of just goes away from where he was at to just live his life far, far away from magic, and he becomes a farmer. It does not sound like something I would like, but I really enjoyed it because you get the day-to-day life, just working on the land and becoming friends with the people in the town closest to him, finding love, and for some reason it just really worked. If you enjoy these kind of books, you're gonna love this one. I feel like there's a little bit of action without being too much. You get, again, the cozy vibes in my opinion. Do want to warn you though that the sense of humor is a little bit juvenile at times. Like at first I was like, oh, I don't know, but it becomes better. Just to give you an idea, for example, is Rooster is called Big D. So, you know, but I really liked it. There is a second book, which I might actually pick up. So if that's your thing, you probably have not heard of it, would recommend checking it out. Okay, so let's go back to the rest. So these are probably my favorite ones, the ones I would recommend the most or that I personally enjoy the most. Now let's go to the other ones that I have read that I would still recommend. Let's go back to Practical Magic since I've been talking about it quite a bit. I do have the movie edition, which I usually don't like, but when you're used book shopping, you get what you get. This, I prefer the movie. I feel like it's not often that I'll say that, but the movie aged better. I do feel like some of the descriptions, especially of like the female characters, definitely feel like it wouldn't pass the vibe check nowadays, you know? But I still really like it because the relationship with the sisters, again, the magic, the small town, I like it. But yeah, I would prefer rewatching the movie over rereading this, but I've read it. It exists. If you forgot, another one that I know is really popular is this one. This is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. This is the longest title ever. I did really like it. But there's a but let's start with the good. You're following this witch. I like the magic again in this world. I like whenever the witches have like different powers, which seems to be a theme with most of the books that I've mentioned. And there's strong found family vibes in this one, which I really, really enjoy. She ends up going to work in this house where there's a few people with magic and teaching kids how to use their magic. And I really, really enjoy that, but I hated the romance. Not at first, but without spoiling anything, which I can always spoil everything in the comment section if you want me to. But without spoilers, at one point, this dude F's up, okay? We're just gonna say it. And I feel like I tend to be unforgiving, okay? She's my friend. I'm reading her book, and he crosses the line, and like not a little bit, he crosses the line in their first fight, and he says something that in my opinion is completely unforgivable, and I don't feel like he apologized enough in my opinion, so I feel like it ruined it for me, so I couldn't root for the romance. So there's that. You might feel differently, but personally it was too much. I still enjoy the book quite a bit. I do feel like this is going to be quite popular, but yeah, the romance just a little too much. But again, found family vibes, coziness, 100% would recommend. But that dude, I don't know if people are going to agree about this one, but you know, it's my video, my recommendations. Nettle Bones. This one is giving fairy tale-esque kind of vibes, but there's a lot of action and a lot of negative things happening, so you might not agree that it feels cozy, but I don't tend to really enjoy, again, the fairy tale vibes usually, but this time it worked for me. You're following this young princess, and she was very isolated. She grew up basically as a nun, and she has to go and save her sister who got married to a bad man. So she goes on a mission to kind of save her. And for some reason, once again, it gave me cozy vibes. So I wanted to give it a quick shout out because I enjoyed it so much more than I expected. And I'm looking forward to trying more books by the author. There's another one on my TBR. But did you read this? Do you agree that it has a little... I think it's the fairy tale. Okay, it just really feels like a retelling. So would recommend that one. If you're looking for a very short one, very modern one, I would recommend Succulents Spells. I've never seen anyone recommend this, but I picked it up on a whim, and it's like 100-something pages. Like I said, very modern, very diverse. You're following, once again, a modern witch, and there's a romance. I really enjoy, once again, looking at the characters. It's definitely very character-driven, like most of these, and seeing their relationship develop, but it's not like an all-time favorite. I believe there's also a rest of series. I'm not planning on continuing, but wanted to mention it just in case you're looking for more recommendations. And then I also read this one, Keeper of Enchanted Rooms. I know second book came out recently. Is it worth it? I don't know. Let me know. You also get family vibes, family vibes. Clearly everything, or it's just very popular with these cozy kind of books. So you're following this main character who received this house, this enchanted house by is it uncle? I don't remember, but he gets this remote estate and he goes to live there. He's a writer and he wants to be able to finish his next book. So it's perfect, and he hires people to work with him or for him. And the house obviously is magical, so you get the little vibes. This is the perfect example of I resented the action. I just wanted more day-to-day, following the romance, just the relationship with the characters. Again, they're kind of becoming a family that I didn't need all the action towards the end, but you might feel differently. But yes, not that. And I would read the second book if you tell me it's good. I'm open to it. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but these are definitely the most cozy fantasy books that I have read. I feel like it's a new genre for me. I feel like it's not something that I've read that much, so would love recommendations. And let's mention 3 that are currently on my TBR, so my to be read pile. The ones that I own a physical copy of, we have this one. This is probably the one that most of you are going to tell me to pick up. This is Can't Spell Treason Without Tea. I keep hearing about this. I know that there's tea in books, and I feel like that's pretty much all I need. If I were to do more videos about cozy books just in general, everything would have libraries, bookstores, books. I mean, you're on here, you know. And a bookshop, which frankly, again, that's literally all I need to know. So that's one. And then I have The House Witch, which that one I believe is more in the kitchen of, the king. So again, mystery, coziness. I'm intrigued. These are so big. I feel like sometimes you wonder what is going to happen if nothing happens, but you end up falling in love with them. So the more pages, the better. And then the other one, I don't own a copy, but my library has it, and it is A Wizard's Guide to Defense Baking. I believe this was the same author as Nettle Bones, and definitely one of the ones that I've been getting recommended the most in my comment section. So if you have read this, is it good? Let me know, but I will be picking it up from the library at one point. But yeah, I'm definitely intrigued into trying more cozy books. Again, if that's your thing, let me know, and I can definitely do some for maybe cozy murder mysteries or just more in general. Again, for me, it's definitely small towns, often like witches, found family, bookstores. This is where I get the vibes. So I would love to hear what makes a cozy fantasy for you. I want to know. And again, if you have any recommendations, let us all know in the comment section. And if you have read some of these, please let me know in the comment section how you felt about them, because again, just because I like them or didn't, you might feel differently. Although none of these I hated, to be honest, would recommend most of them. That's going to be it. I will link down below all the books if you want to check those out, and more videos on the screen that you can check out if you are looking for more book recommendations. And I will see you in an upcoming video very soon. Bye.